Alright, so this chapter is taking us into the next part of the story. If you thought Horikoshi was stalling up until this point, well, I can assure you he no longer is. Because things are getting serious now, if they weren't already. But before I get into it, let me just quickly go over what had happened in the previous chapter. So we saw that Yue was falling, and that there wasn't really any heroes available to stop it from falling, until suddenly Gentle showed up. Just like Labrava did in the previous chapter, they also allowed Gentle to help the heroes out in this final war. He was also being extremely buffed by Labrava's love quirk, and he used his gently super lover to stop Yue from falling. But at the same time, Shigaraki was free to use all of his quirks because Monoma and Aizawa had been knocked over by the Twice clones, and as he was about to touch the ground to like completely nuke the place, suddenly his hand was shot off, and it's revealed that Nagant was there as well. Just like Gentle, she's a former villain who came back as a hero, helping out everyone in this final arc. And that brings us to the beginning of this chapter, where we see a flashback of Central Hospital just after Kurogiri woke up. Everyone is screaming, and we see Dr. Mario saying that Nagant can't go moving around, but she tells him to shut up and tell her the enemy's location. The doctor says that he can't tell her since she's in custody, but Nagant says that Midoriya asked her to fight alongside them. Rocklock then shows up and says that he will allow her to join the war. He hands her a device that contains all information about the villains. So this is pretty cool, and as it says, it's happening right after Kurogiri woke up, so this is like, I guess, moments after Spinner and Present Mike had broken into the hospital trying to get to Kurogiri/Shirakumo. And Rocklock was there as well, helping against the heteromorphic protest, so it's understandable that he'd be here to give Nagant the orders. Cut to the present, and we see Nagant saying that she wants to get at least one more shot off to pay back Hawks and Deku for bringing her out of the darkness and reminding her of the meaning of her existence. She then shoots and hits Shigaraki's other hand. Deku understands what's happening and smiles. Cut to the inner All For One screaming with hatred, saying that it makes no sense for a trash like her, who killed innocent people and even allies, to play the victim. Suddenly, fingers start coming out of his mouth. The fingers represent Shigaraki. He laughs at All For One and says that his plan to use others didn't work out. He also knows that All For One only raised him to make All Might angry, and then use his hatred to steal One For All. But that plan also turned out to be a failure. The fusion seemed to have worked, but Shigaraki kept his origin hidden, deep within his heart. This allowed him to get his personality back little by little without All For One noticing, creating a way out of his control. Alright, so I guess this confirms that Shigaraki does in fact know what All For One's master plan is. We weren't really sure of this, but I guess we assumed that he had to be aware of at least some kind of nefarious plan going on. And it turns out that this whole Tenko personality shard thing is Shigaraki's doing. Like, this wasn't just something that just happened. Like, I thought that this may have been like a side effect of All For One trying to fuse with Shigaraki's consciousness, but no, it turns out that this is what Shigaraki did purposely in order to stop All For One from taking over his consciousness. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. So guys, Manscaped has a new product, and this time it's the Beard Hedger Trimmer. And I'm super excited for this one because I personally have been looking for a beard trimmer. Like, for the last 2 years, I've been going through like 3 or 4 lackluster trimmers that I bought online. So I've been looking for a good permanent one to use. And now I found it because the Manscaped Beard Hedger Trimmer is incredible. I mean, this is pretty much everything I want. Whether I want to trim a little, take it down some, have a new style, or just take it off completely, the Manscaped Beard Hedger Trimmer gets the job done for me. So guys, if you're interested in getting your very own Manscaped Beard Hedger and Trimmer, go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free shipping when you use promo code Zhoniin at checkout. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code Zhoniin at manscaped.com. Thanks, guys. All For One despairs and tries to order Kurogiri to teleport him to where his true body is, but Kurogiri begins to glitch. He says he needs to protect Shigaraki, but we slowly start to see more of Shirakumo's face as he says, "Who? Where? Friend." So the last time we saw All For One, he was trying to fly to UA to get to Shigaraki's body because he said that there was like one last thing that needed to be done for the body to be complete or something like that, and we just assumed that he needed to physically be there to like take over his body or something, because I guess his quirk Wi-Fi just wasn't good enough anymore. And as he was trying to go there, he was stopped by Hawks. So I guess he's still there, and he was trying to get Kurogiri to warp him there, but it obviously wasn't working out because he's like glitching into Shirakumo still, which I think he eventually will become before the series is over. Shigaraki continues his speech, saying that he doesn't need All for One. His heart will never surrender, just like Nagants are gentle. The world as it is right now originated in the house in which he was born, and that's why Tomura Shigaraki and Tenko Shimura's wish is the same. As he says all of this, he starts to emerge from within the sea of hands and fingers. He ends his speech with, "Our wish is to destroy everything that has to do with that house." As he smiles and his hair goes back to its normal length, Shigaraki is back. Okay, so this is another thing that we weren't really sure of with Shigaraki, and I'm still not sure, but I guess this is going to come to light very soon. So when he says that he and Tenko's wish is the same, to destroy everything that has to do with that house, obviously the place where he grew up as a child, the place where he accidentally killed all of his parents, All for One is also tied to that house as well, because he is the one who gave Shigaraki the decay quirk. Now, this hasn't been fully confirmed yet, but it's pretty much what happened. I mean, we saw All for One in that panel dropping off Tenko to his mother. I mean, come on, it's him. Obviously, he's tied to everything, but it still hasn't been like said out loud in the series yet, and Shigaraki definitely hasn't acknowledged this yet. So that's going to be like a big moment in the series as well. Even though the band-aid has already been pulled off at this point, it still would just be nice for everything to just come full circle. But that being said, them saying to destroy everything that has to do with that house, I guess mainly it's All for One, right? Meaning that I'm pretty sure Shigaraki is going to fight All for One at the minimum, if not even just straight up take him out completely. It's also possible that Shigaraki himself is a part of that as well, because Shigaraki was born out of that. So maybe Shigaraki being destroyed in the end is also what they both want, you know, which will ultimately leave with Tenko being the only one left, which we assume is going to happen. He then says, "And that's the only thing that will save me, hero." But in a matter of seconds, Deku has already pulled him out of the flying UA. Gento and Mirio are confused, but he says that now that Shigaraki has all of his quirks, the flying coffin became useless. Deku says, "I won't let you do that, but I'm also not going to ignore the you who are crying." He tied Shigaraki's hands using Black Whip. Now the two of them are on solid ground, about to start the fight. End of chapter. So this is super exciting, and I guess this is taking us into the quote-unquote final fight, or at least one of them. We've kind of been in final fights this whole arc, but this is also another thing we've been waiting for. Now that Shigaraki isn't being erased by Monoma and Aizawa, we get to see his full power for the first time, and I'm sure it's going to be insane. Also Izuku, who can pretty much go full power still at this point, so they might have an amazing chapter or two of fighting, but it's eventually going to come to a stop once Izuku runs out of gas. And I know that I've talked about this many times before too, but you know, I got to bring it up again because it's a very realistic thing that is going to happen in my opinion, and that, you know, Izuku using transmission or gear shift for this long, as the second user said, like 5 minutes, will eventually lead to him basically passing out, I guess, right? And that still hasn't happened. I don't know how much time has passed since the 5 minutes line has been mentioned, but it's definitely going to happen soon, and I guess that's when Shigaraki is going to get a major upper hand going forward, and there's going to be like a stretch of chapters where like Izuku is pretty much out of the story, I guess. But then at that point, I guess we could focus on the other characters who still have to do their final stuff, like the other students, for example. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.